Alright, so we are back in Satisfactory. So last time we had set up all of this, which is the plans for our supercomputer factory. So now let's get this into our notes so that we can actually start crafting it. So this is 18.75 supercomputers, 75 computers, 37.5 AI limiters, 56.25 high-speed connectors, and then some amount of plastic, which is going to be more than just that. So it's 2,850 petroleum coke, 2,850 petroleum coke, which is 2,696.325 heavy oil residue, 2,696.325 heavy oil residue, and 2,022 crude oil. Alright, then we go over here. We have 356.25 circuit boards. We have 1,162.5 cables. And then we have 4,029.5 quick wire, 1,679 copper ingots, 1,679 copper ingots, which is 671.6 copper ore, and how much? 335.8 deuterium ingots, which is 671.6 deuterium ore. And then we have 1,636.4 rubber, 1,636.4 rubber. Alright, we're going to have to apparently save some space. Okay, so the two ores are the same, so we can just abbreviate that, and we don't really need to know it anyway. So we can get the rubber in. 1,856.25 plastic. 1,856.25 plastic. And 3,492.65 fuel. 492. Alright, then we can abbreviate circuit boards to CB. I'll still know what that means. And that should give us the extra space. 0.65 fuel. And then a whole bunch of water, but we can deal with that later. Just it's the same amount as fuel. And we've already accounted for the heavy oil residue over there. So that is good. So we're going to need to add a whole bunch of crude oil in order for this to work. So, I don't know, maybe we can use something like that, or something like this. Yeah, let's go there. It's actually very close. So we're going to have to see, because those have different outputs, I think, than the just fuel extractors. So when it says there is a bunch of pure nodes there, I don't think it means like actual pure nodes. We'll see though. Let's hop on over there. And see what it's got for us. Alright, so it is due north of me from here. So we just have to swap to jetpack. See if we can spot it. It's going to be that right there. Alright. And we do have power. So let's grab that. And then swap back to hoverpack. Alright. Resource well pressurizer. Connect it up to power. And we can get 1,350 oil out of this, which is notably not quite enough. Okay. That's going to be a bit of an issue. Also, there's apparently... Is there like a radioactive hog wandering around up there? Yes, that's what's causing that. Alright, so 1,350 crude oil is not enough, but it's like kind of close. It's more than half. So let's get all of these extractors in. Like that. And we're missing one. There it is back there. Alright, so we have all that. All the extractors are connected. And let's see, do we have... I think this is like right on the edge of our radar coverage. So let's get a radar tower in. That's going to be under organization. And we could just pop you down anywhere flat, power you up. Alright, I was hoping to find deuterium and copper nodes around here. But it doesn't look like we're going to be that lucky. So, I guess let's go exploring off to the west, because we don't have radar coverage over this way. So I think we're... Because of the large quantities involved, I think we're just going to... And it's large quantities of only 3 things, so I think we're just going to try to ignore the train network and just do this the old-fashioned way. Alright. I have to place the power towers every so often or we drop out of the sky. Alright, let's get a radar tower over here and see what happens. Alright, still nothing in terms of deuterium and copper. So we keep moving. Let's head southwest. It's more likely to work, I think. Alright, and we're going to need to jetpack over there. I was trying to put it into my... I was trying to equip it midair, and it wasn't cooperating well. Alright, we do have factories in this general vicinity. So, like, the odds of us finding undisturbed nodes aren't as great as they otherwise might be. Alright, we're gonna have to get some altitude over that poison gas so we don't have to deal with it. And then keep going forwards. Now, did I grab this? No, but I can. So let's pick that up.
Fix-It always did underestimate the power of a single cosmic ray, flipping the
Alright,
right bit at the wrong
off we
time.
go. Alright, so now we're over here, and surely there will be some good old Caterium. No. No Caterium, no copper anywhere to be found. There is that pure node up there, which is being used for something already. And unless we're using almost none of it, we're not going to get 671 out of that. So that's no good. There is... Okay, so there's a pure node down there. So let's head south. We're almost at the old fuel power plant, which I think I might want to just turn off at some point to reclaim the crude oil, because that was probably very inefficient. Alright, so yeah, we are going to turn south. And I guess these are all going to be far enough apart that we will have to use the train network for it, which is fine. I might just do direct connections, though. And I think we're not going to use the train network for the crude oil. We're just going to do direct connection lines from this Caterium over to there. Alright, so now we are on the way. And we just keep going. Is that... Must have already grabbed that one. Looks like there's nothing there. Alright, power lines are sort of crossing past each other at this point. And the Caterium node is over this way. So over we go. Is it going to be just down there in that area? Probably. It's probably down here somewhere. Is this a hard drive that I already grabbed? Looks like it. Alright, the Caterium is actually over here. It's very hard to see in this area. But where... Is it going to be underground somewhere? Or... Oh, is it going to be up on this pillar? I bet it's up on this pillar. Let's jetpack up. And yes, Caterium. Pure Caterium. Cool. Alright, now let's get a power line, which I guess we could grab from this one. Bring you down to here. And then we go Miner Mark III. And power it up. Alright, so we have that. And this actually is, like, directly underneath the train network, which is quite convenient. So let's get a Mark V belt going up there. And up you go. You have to just take this up onto the train network, put it into a station, and then it will be good to go. Alright. So at this point, we're close enough that I don't want to go too much higher, or else we'll go over the train network, and we don't want to do that because we need this to slip into a floor hole up there. Alright, hopefully jetpack can reach, yeah, easily. Alright, now we're up here. And now we swap to hoverpack so that we can get a good angle. And we just have to make a T intersection as usual. So that goes out there. And then go across. And like that. Alright, intersection made. And we have path signals going in. Block signal is coming out. So you need to be a path signal, and you need to be a path signal. Alright, so now we have that. We just need to make the station, which should be relatively straightforward. So we just go out like this. And we're going to need some space over here as well. Alright, so the train station can just go in there and connect up. So this is going to be... What is this? SC Caterium source. SC for supercomputer. And then we just need a couple of freight platforms. So we need to expand this out a little bit further back. And then we put all these in. Alright, I didn't put the platforms facing exactly the most convenient way. Now we have to be a bit careful to leave space for these tracks. It would have been easier if they were facing the other way, but it's fine. Alright, so now we have to get a sharp curve, which means you start by curving out. And then... Actually, no, that's not going to be good. We need to do that a lot earlier. And preferably a lot less sharp. So we can go like that. And then in like that. Alright. So, trains set up. And I don't know if these are needed, but just in case they are, we can put some blocks there and there. Alright, so now we get... Let's see here. How do we want to get these? It should... Because it's going to be less than a full belt. So it should be fine to just have a row of splitters. So if we just do it like this, we shouldn't have problems where we need multiple belts flowing and this only gives us one. So it should be okay. Alright, so that all goes in, and then we get the floor hole there. And the lift. Alright, so this is all set up. Now we need to connect this up. So you're going to come up to there, and that's actually like remarkably precise how well that lines up. Must be a world grid snapping thing. Or maybe I just got lucky. Alright, so then we just have to bring that over there. And Caterium ore. Just like that. Alright, Caterium ore check. Next up is copper, which probably will be fine without additional... I don't know. It probably should just grab like some of those nodes down there. Although that's only a normal. Alright. Where do you think copper is going to be? We are once again on the edge of radar range. So let's get another one of those in. You don't want to connect things up directly to the train stations because then you're going to run out. Alright, so we have an impure node there, which isn't exactly ideal. And there's a normal node there, so this place is kind of sparse for copper. Alright, that's fine. We can use the generic copper supply for that. So now we have to make our way back to the crude oil. And let's see, in order to... We could either set up a whole water tower system, or we could just belt the Caterium and the copper down and have the factory at ground level. Either of those would work. I think it would be better to bring it all up to the factory level just for consistency so we can access it more easily for bug fixing. So how far is it? It's right past that one. So we can just move along. Right past the bauxite mine and whatever fused frames that is. Oh, don't get hit by a train. It would kill you in Factorio, not in Satisfactory, but still will send you flying the wrong direction, so it's best avoided. Alright, so here we are, and it's down there. So I do want to... Actually, no, I don't. We want to get a bit of distance, but we do want to use the train blueprint for it. So those go in. And now we get to do some connection. And these being this close might cause problems. But hopefully not. Well, if they do cause problems, we'll definitely figure it out nice and quick, at least. And by that, I mean probably we'll never find out until like 20 hours from now. Because this is if there is a problem here, it's going to be a whole timing-based thing, which I am absolutely not looking forward to. Alright, so then we have to take that path signal and move it back there. And now this whole thing is one block, which I think is actually good. I think that's what we want. So we get a path signal there, block signal there. Alright, so now we can connect these down this way And we just have to go a little bit back. Like, maybe to here will be good, and then the rest of it can just be handled by the train station. Alright, so we do need to arrange this a little differently because of proximity to that. So this is the input. Alright, I know how we can do this. It's going to be quite neat, actually. So let's get some space out there. And then, okay, so we're going to need... It's going to be a little tricky to get them lined up correctly this way is the only problem. But I guess what we can actually do is we can just build it backwards and then reverse it. Because these are all take up the same amount of space. So we have that. And then we have all of these going along this way. So then we have 1, 2, 3, oof, fell out of the sky there, 4, 5 train platforms. Okay, so this is the correct size. So all we have to do is take that one out, pop in a freight platform, take that one out, put in a train station, and then we connect this up. Alright, now we have power on this whole thing, which is nice. Alright, so this is going to be SC copper supply, I guess. I don't know what the words mean anymore. Could just probably just be SC copper, I guess. Alright, and then we need one more of these for Caterium. So let's get this space laid out. And just copy that, paste it over here. And label this SC Caterium supply. Now we put the freight platforms in, which is 1, 2, we don't want these facing that way. We want these facing the other way just for maximum space. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so now that, apparently we're going to need to send that across like that, and then have that snap in. Alright, so we have that. Now we just need to draw the output line and connect it up over there, which should be easy to do. There we go. Output line built. And then we just have to connect that one up as well, which is going to require a little more space that way. There we go. Okay, now we just turn this way. And with enough space, it should be able to twist around correctly, like that. And then loop into that. Alright, train line complete. so now we have to set these to unload. And it's kind of annoying that you have to set all these individually. There should be a button for just set all to unload, but maybe there isn't, I just don't know it. That's a definite possibility. Alright, so those are all set, and now we get the trains. So we get a train, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, we're going to have to do signaling as well. So this train is SC copper, and it goes there, where it waits until fully loaded as usual and save, and then it also goes to copper distributor. Where is that? There we go. Alright, so you can go and do that now. And in the meantime, we are going to slap some signals on. Signals are so hard to get lined up correctly. Alright, so now we just have to go back here and get the signals on this way. There and there. Alright. What is your problem? Signaling problem. Signals are making the next stop unreachable. Well, that's a shame, isn't it? So, you go over this way. Pop that signal in. And, oh. Yeah, that would do it. Okay, I connected that up to the wrong thing. So it's supposed to go back to here. Like that. And now it should be off. Yep. Alright, easy mistake to make, also easy fix to make. So then the Caterium gets one of those, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 freight cars, where you get to be SC Caterium and go there and there. And here you want to wait until you're finished. And off you go. Alright, so that's those trains set up. Now we need to do this stupid fluid tower thing again. That's the worst part by far of setting all this up, is the fluid mechanics. And we also need another 700-ish, more like 900-ish crude oil anyways. Which actually, that makes it easier somehow. Alright, so it's probably not going to fit in, but we're just going to bring in the extra 900 via the regular system. And we're going to have to clear that out so that we have the space to build this new train station. And should be all nice and quick. Satisfactory on console drops on the 4th. Yeah, that's exciting. Seems like it's going to be kind of hard to play without all the billion keyboard shortcuts that make things faster, but that's just console gaming for you, I guess. Alright, so how do we get this? That lined up should should be just enough space. There we go, and then we need fluid freight, which we want to be pointing out this way. And keep going. Alright, so we have that. That random block signal doesn't need to exist. Now, you connect up there. Yeah, it should be nice having it on console just as an option. I mean, more options never hurt anyone, right? I'm probably going to stick to PC, but it's nice to have. Alright, so then we go. And we keep going, and then we just have to meet that corner up. And attach this. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. There's technically a hole in the ground there for that drone to go through. You have it on PC, it's installed but never launched. I would definitely recommend launching it. It's very fun. Just sort of get to build a whole bunch of stuff. So this is SC crude oil supply. So we get that in. And then we have to set all of these platforms to unload. Like that. And then we have to put the train in. Alright, so train 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so now this train, which we're going to call SC crude oil, can go from here, where it waits to fully unload, and then doesn't wait any longer than that. And then we have to find the crude oil distributor. Where is that? There you are. So just save that, and off it goes. Alright, so there we go. Now we just have to put train signals on so that the trains know that they can enter the other stations in this area. Alright, so that gets a train signal. That gets a train signal. Alright, that should be all of the train stuff done. And I know that this train at least has shown up. It just delivered a bunch of deuterium. This one's shown up and is just about to deliver the copper. So that's nice. Now we just need to grab the... Where was that crude oil? Down there somewhere. And get it all to link up. So, we start off by putting a floor in. It might cause a problem for that drone. They can clip through floors, but I don't want them to clip through floors. But I think it went through that area specifically. So as long as we leave that area specifically open, it might be fine. Alright, so the piping here has to be somewhat weird. So we have this. I think we need to get 2 pipes out of this, so we're just going to use the top and bottom outputs. So let's get first pipe connected all to those. And that should be able to handle 600 crude oil a minute. And then we have another pipe, which is back here, and that's one tick past the center line of the foundations. And then this will go into the top row, and that should be able to give us a maximum of 1,200 crude oil a minute, and we need like 900-ish, so this should work just fine. Alright, so all of those go in. Alright, now we have to drop down to that and bring it back up. So let's get this blueprint, which we're going to need to bring the pipe down there relatively quickly. Actually, probably not, but at least it comes with a ladder built in to the blueprint, which will save some time. Alright, so we're just going to drop the rest of the way down until we go back into the power range. And then be careful not to die of radiation. That would be bad. Okay, and that bottom one got turned around a little bit. So we just have to finish this up. So that comes down to here. And now what we need to do is, I guess, bring a power line off of that and connect it up to here so that we can hover pack easily. That's one of the advantages of doing it this way. Alright, it got wrapped around there. And I'm so glad that it decided to apparently just alternate the side that the rotation. It's not worth fixing because we could just do this. Alright, so now we have that. What we need to do is we need to basically scam the fluid headlift system so that we don't have to place a billion pumps to get all the water up here. So we have fluid on this level already from the train, and we're going to pipe that down all the way to ground level. And then we are going to need, what, like three or so pipes of crude oil coming back up. So I guess we want additional wall. So that comes down, and then we can drag the pipes on the way back up once we know how many we need. So this comes down to here, and then just goes off on a somewhat flat-ish foundation over there. So we have that, and it is going to run across like that, and don't do weird angle things, just be straight. There you go. Alright, so once that train comes back, there will be fluid in this pipe. Now we have to hook up all of these. So that is 300, 150, 150, so these make a batch of 600, so let's connect those all together, and then connect them across. So we're gonna have to connect that into there. Alright, then we have, that one is 150, that one's 300, that one's 300. So we connect these two across, and then send them up and over. Ah, yes, pipeline spaghetti, the classic. Alright, and then this last one that doesn't have any friends, it can just go directly into there. Alright, so now we have all of that. And it looks like the train up above has showed up as well. So what we need to do now is pop a valve in there and set it to 0. So now that should bring its head lift down to here so that all of these can go up without needing any pumps. So now we just have to bring them up onto this wall like that. This is going to be annoyingly close, isn't it? Yeah, so they really want to snap in together, which I really don't want them to do. But that's fine. We can deal with that. So those all go up. And then we just have to bring them up the rest of the way. Alright, so we do that, and that. And we just keep on going up. Eventually we'll get there. So yeah, the upside of building so high above the map is that I don't have to deal with terrain at all. And I don't have to worry about all sorts of stuff because of that. The downside is I have to drag these long pipes whenever I want to get anything done. Alright, so now we have these, and they can just sneak around up to here. And we have our crude oil supply. Alright, so that is all good. Now, we need to go just a little bit higher up. Actually, do we want to go higher up? It's going to require even more head lift. Let's try building downwards for a change. I normally build from the factory level up, but there's no reason I can't build from the factory level down. And it'll prevent me from having to pump the crude oil just that little bit extra height. Alright, and the crude oil is going to be the first thing we deal with, because it is, frankly, the majority of the work here. So, what we need is a refinery, which I actually can't remember exactly how far down it has to go, but I don't think it's a full 10. Let's build out this floor like it is, though. Alright, refinery. Oh yeah, it's nowhere near a full 10. It is up to there. So that's actually fine. That gives us a logistics floor above, which is always handy to have. Alright, so we can do that. Have the logistics floor there, have the refineries down here. So, obviously we don't want to go that way because the pipes are there, so we're going to be building off in this way, in sort of like this quadrant, I guess. Alright, so step 1 is refining crude oil down to heavy oil residue. Oh, we're also going to need a ton of water. That's going to be another thing we need. We're going to need thousands of water. Are we above a lake? There's a lake back there. That should be fine. Alright, so how do we want these refineries lined up? If we have them lined up like this, that's going to squish up against that. So I think we want to be going the other way. So let's have them here. Let's have a bit of space as well. And you go in like that. Heavy oil residue. So this makes 40 heavy oil residue. We need almost 2,700. Yeah, that's reasonable. So 2696.325 divided by, oh, it's 0.325 divided, what was it, 40 is 67 refineries. 68 actually. Alright, that's a lot. Now the good news is we can actually get a fair amount of efficiency by just using the polymer resin for once, because we need to make plastic and rubber. So I should account for that in my math, but I'm just going to be lazy and figure it out later. So if we're doing 67 of these, I think we want blueprints for it. So let's get some space up here, because blueprint machines are pretty tall, taller than refineries even. Alright, so we get some space. And we go out to there. Now we can pop a Blueprint Designer Mark II. And as far as the refineries go, is there any special thing we want to do to get like extra optimal? I don't think so. I think we just treat them as normal. And we just put 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess I can load balance these. It's a bit weird to do with fluids, but it should be fine. So we get that. We paste that across. And then we have to get the output set up, so we merge all of these together like that. And let's make this Mark V belts for that, because we don't want it to be moving a whole lot of polymer resin. Alright, so then we have... Actually, we should get all the pipes and everything in before dealing with power poles, because they're sort of the last thing. They can go in wherever is most convenient. So this comes across to here. And let's find some power that we can grab, so we don't have to worry about falling out of the sky constantly. Alright, this is apparently very close to the edge of the Blueprint Designer. So if we put that in vertically like that, that's not going to look great, but it should look fine if we do that. Yeah, it's a bit funky, but it's perfectly acceptable. Alright, so then this just goes in like that. And then the input side of things, we want this to actually be load balanced, because that will save time getting it all started. So we do that, and then that's going to need a junction as well. Alright, so now we get Power Pole Mark II. All of those connected up. And done. So this is HOR refinery. And let's just save that. And don't need that anymore. Actually, we might want to leave it there for future use, but it's fine. Alright, so now we take those refineries out and start use this fancy blueprint that we have. So let's get more space, because it's going to need a lot. So this goes out like this. And then the blueprint goes in. Alright, we want to leave enough space here for all the load balancing stuff we could ever want. And then just align the blueprint with the edge and pop it in. Alright, so that is 4 out of 60 some. And we're going to have to keep track of how many pipes we use. So this is 30, 60, 90. So this is 120 crude oil input to 160 heavy oil residue output. So we're not going to be able to place too many of these. Actually, are these going to auto-connect in any useful way? Yes, the pipes, but not the belts. That's fine. Alright, so that's 240. Now let's actually just get these powered on immediately. No reason to wait on that. So we bring the power line up and connect it over to that, which I guess it's a bit funny to do it that way, but sure. Alright, so now we have those two. We can head over this way. And we're going to need a whole lot of space. We're going to need so much space for this. Alright. So we have 8. We're about 1/8 of the way there. That is 12. This, if it would line up properly. Alright, it's rotated wrong, that's the problem. Please rotate correctly. And there we go. So that is 16 machines. 16 times 30 is 480. So one more of these and we'll have a full pipe of input. So let's get some extra space back here. Alright, so then we get that in. So that is 120 times 5 is 600 crude oil to some large amount of heavy oil residue. It's going to be like 900 maybe. So, now what I want to do is get all of these connected up, which is actually, this is a 1 to 5 situation here. Alright, that's fine. We're going to have to... Actually, we could just do these in pipes of 480, but no, that would break things. We don't have enough pipes to do that, probably. So we're just going to give up on our goal of having this be properly balanced. Fluids are annoying to balance anyways. Alright, so all this is going to connect up. And we just keep going. There we go. And then those go in. And that goes in. Alright. So that is pipe 1 of crude oil. Which... I suppose we could just grab off of here. There's no reason to actually send it all the way up there, is there? Alright, so we grab that. And in you go. So this should get working once we get the rest of these connections done. So we just fly along here, pop all these in, and there. Alright, so these are going to make polymer resin and heavy oil residue. We need to gather up the polymer resin. So these belts all go together. And that is... Okay, why did it do that? It doesn't matter, but whatever. We're going to leave it. Alright, so... That's one down. 600 crude oil done. Your OCD? Alright, fine. You've convinced me. I will fix it. There. Problem solved. OCD cured. Alright. Oh, it's happened again here. Why does it do that? Why does it think that that's the most reasonable way to place a belt? Like it is just literally the default. Alright, there we go. So now that will start up. And then we need to do this just another couple times. Because this is 20 machines. We counted 60 some that we needed. So there's going to be another couple rows of this. And then we're going to have to also deal with the polymer resin and the heavy oil residue outputs. Because this pipe is not able to handle all of this heavy oil residue output. We're going to have to split it up. So we're going to have to figure out how exactly we want to split that up. But for now, we're just going to leave some space and make another row. So let's leave, I don't know, that many foundations of space to deal with whatever has to be done in there to make that work. And then we can go back here. And how wide is this? It's, let's see, like one foundation there, 2, 3, 4, 5, is like 6-ish wide overall. So just do that. And we can get this in, lined up like that. Okay, but it needs to be rotated around, probably. So we rotate it like that, and place it in. So that is 1. That is 2. And this goes all the way across. Yeah, this is once again, a somewhat ridiculously large supercomputer factory. I don't know why. If we ever need 18.75 supercomputers, it's just going to be to create some other ridiculously massive factory, which is much larger than it needs to be. But this is the scale that I've set myself for doing this save. So the only reason we would stop is if we have like actual supply problems where we run out of stuff on the map, which hopefully will never happen. Alright, and then that one, and that is row number 2. So now we can connect all of these guys up to power lines, then connect the power lines across. So that goes back to there, and those are all powered up. Alright, now we have to get this hooked up, so you go all the way along, and we just keep going, and a little bit further. That's far enough. Now we put the junctions in and connect everything up. So that and that one barely fits in with the seam there. Alright, now we can connect these up and then find a pipe to attach into them. There we go. So those are all attached up. Now we go over here, grab the pipe number 2. And these are all interconnected, so it doesn't actually really matter which one I grab for what. The only part which will matter is when we grab the ones from the train network, because those aren't connected to the others. Alright, so then this pipe comes along this way and goes in there. Alright, so that is that. And it's going to take a little while to fill up, obviously. Alright. Somehow I feel like the math isn't mathing properly in terms of how much crude oil we brought in, how much we have to use, but it should be fine. Alright, so now we set up another row. We actually don't need to put foundations in that row just yet, because we might not end up using all of it. We do need to put foundations back here, though, because this is going to be the next row of machines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Give it one more. And heavy oil residue refinery. Alright, so that goes in. And that goes in. Alright, now we have to just keep doing this forever, basically. Alright, we need to bring power back here, because I'm about to fall out of the sky. So you get to go forward to that, which goes across to that. We have 2 in. This is going to be number 3. If it could rotate correctly. And then we get number 4. And then 1 more for this row. Alright, so that all goes in there. And missing steel pipes. That is very surprising. I've used a lot of pipes in this build, but not that many. I wonder if there's something that's gone wrong at the steel pipe production, or if steel pipe production might just inherently be very slow. It's probably just something that we haven't upgraded in like a million years. Alright, I can go back and connect these conveyor belts up while I wait. Alright, so those go across. And alright, should be all connected unless I might have missed some over here. Nope, we got them all. Alright. And now hopefully steel pipes has recovered some. Just about exactly. Alright, so that pops in there. And then we're going to have to figure out what is going on with steel pipes in general, because we shouldn't be running low on them. Not unless we're using like many thousands of them at once, which we definitely haven't been. So let's connect this up and then just return to base and figure out what's happening. So we're going to respawn. Keep inventory is the best setting ever. And I believe our steel pipe... Yes, this is probably the issue, is that our steel pipe production is all the way back here. In the old base, which hardly does anything anymore. And this is not exactly the fastest production chain possible. Alright, so we're here. And we have plenty of steel pipes, but this is a Mark 1 lift. Yeah, that's the problem. So they can load up at up to 240 a minute, but only if the lift actually cooperates. So let's fix that, and then fix that as well. And then do I also have to fix that? Alright, cool. So Mark 3 lifts are fast enough to handle everything. Alright, so that should be fine. How much pipes are we producing? 20 a minute is not incredible. Oh, 48 power shards and a summer sloop. This is... Folks, this is why you open up random constructors that are lying around not connected to things, because sometimes you hit the jackpot. So, I mean, this is thousands of steel pipes, so even if it's only producing slowly, like, we're never going to use all of that stockpile. At least not today, so that should be good. So we're just going to respawn again, and head where is it relative to us? It's just west from us. Alright, so now we just head over this way, and oh, I jetpacked right at the moment of an autosave, which happens to just send you flying for some reason. Ooh. Take a train ride. That's fun. Alright. And we're back. Alright. Back to hoverpack mode. So, we need to connect all this up. And this goes back to here. And then we'll all be connected up soon. Alright, so the main line is in. Now we put in the junctions, and then we connect the two junctions together. Alright, that is definitely not where I wanted to place that junction. Alright, so that is all in. And now we just connect it across. So that, and that, and that. Alright, so now we just have to connect this up to some, what are they even called? Up to the crude oil pipe, which is going to be slightly less trivial than the other ones because we've already used 1,200 of the oil from here, so we're going to have to use a mix of oils at this point. Alright, so now this comes over here. And we need, first of all, we need to grab some of this because it's only being used for this one factory, so if we don't use it here, it will be wasted. So that is connected across. And then we have to take this one, which will go to here, and then down to there. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to use ye olde priority tricks in order to make this work. So I believe what we do is we have this go directly into there, but through an unpowered pump. Meanwhile, this one will come from above and down into there. So this will have more head lift than that, which means it will get priority, which means we'll use marginally less of the train oil than we need to. And it's not going up any elevation after that, so it should be fine. Alright, so all those are running. And we did connect the polymer resin line up. Alright, so next step is figuring out how many more we need. So these are 40 a minute. 40 a minute times 60 is 2,400. We need 296.325 heavy oil residue left. 296.325 divided by 40 is we just need another 8 machines. So let's go over here. Fortunately, that 8 is a convenient number. Now the downside is that because we've done the math wrong, not accounting for using the polymer resin, which we're definitely going to do, we're going to have too much here. And in fact, we probably don't even need these extra 8 machines. I'm going to have to redo the math. And it's not going to be easy math either. So let's see. We have half as much polymer resin as heavy oil residue. So let's just get some signs in to figure this out. It's going to be very difficult to manage. Alright, so we have 2,400 heavy oil residue and 1,200 polymer resin currently. So the amount of fuel we need to make is based on the amount of plastic we need. So, if you go to plastic, is actually plastic the bigger user or the rubber? They're about the same. Alright, so residual plastic is 6 to 2. So that's 3 to 1. So 1200 gives 400. So we can knock 400 of the rubber or plastic off, which means 400 of the fuel off because that's 1 to 1. So if we have 1200 heavy oil residue and we need 400 less fuel, we need 3092. Okay, wait. Oh, because we also have the petroleum coke, right? So we need 2400. Alright, so 3092.65 divided by 2 is 1546. So, let's just parentheses that and go 2400 minus. So we have 853.675 for the petroleum coke, which we need 2850 petroleum coke. Alright. 853.675 for petroleum coke, which, if we go here, if we set that to that, we need 950. So as it is, we're 100 heavy oil residue short, and that's fine. So let's see, another way of thinking about it, each machine makes 40 heavy oil residue and 20 polymer resin. 20 polymer resin, alright, and we're just going to say need 950 flat, so we are 950 minus 853.675. We are 96.325 heavy oil residue short. 96.325 HOR short. Now, each factory makes 40 heavy oil residue and 20 petroleum and 20 polymer resin. So if we add 2 more, that would... So how much is the polymer resin saving us in heavy oil residue for the fuel? So polymer resin, so residual plastic is 6 to 2. Oh, residual rubber is 4 to 2. But it uses more water, which is fine. So let's do this, actually, and then we probably will have enough as is. So if we have 1200 polymer resin, that is 600 rubber. So 600 rubber means 600 less fuel. So 3492.65 minus 600 is 2892. And no, we don't want to divide that by 2. We want to divide that by 2. Is 1446. 2400 minus 1446 is 953.675, and we need 950 flat. So actually what we have here is like almost exactly enough. We just need to shave the tiniest bit off in order to make it work. Alright, so we have that. So we need to subtract the right amount that gives us effectively 3.675 less heavy oil residue. So now we are going to have to end up doing that calculation. So 1 heavy oil residue is effectively 2 fuel because of diluted fuel. So then we have polymer resin. What am I doing? Polymer resin. So rubber and fuel are equivalent. So 2 polymer resin is 1 fuel, which means that 4 polymer resin is effectively 1 heavy oil residue. So if we want to reduce 3.675, we need to take off hang on. So we need to take off 3.675 and 1 polymer. I'm just going to write that down on a sign so I don't have to keep it in my head. 1. So 4 polymer resin is approximately equal to 1 heavy oil residue. So if we need to reduce the number by 3.675, and the refineries are twice as much heavy oil as polymer resin. We're going to have to do some algebra here. Algebra. Alright, so this would be 3.675 equals 2x plus, actually this, so the polymer resin, so the heavy oil residue is produced twice as much as polymer resin by the recipe. So it's 2x plus y, where it's produced half as much and it's 1/4 as efficient. So it's 8. It's effectively 1 to 8 there, so it's 8x plus x, where x is like the value of one thing. Alright, let's see if this works. So then it would be 3.675 times 9. 5 divided by 9 is 0.408. So if I reduce the heavy oil residue, no, that doesn't make sense. That's definitely wrong. I think it's x plus 1/8 x would be better. So it's 9/8 x. So we just have to do 3.675 times 8 divided by 9 and 3.2667. So if we reduce our heavy oil residue by 3.2667, it should work. So we just go to one of these machines somewhere. Let's say this one. And we do that. Alright, so does the math check out? So we lose 3.267 heavy oil residue, and we lose 1 point something polymer resin. I think the math checks out. I hope the math checks out. So let's see. I'm going to check 18.367. So we have 20 minus 18.3667 is 1.633. So we're down 1.633 polymer resin. So 1.633 divided by 4 is an effective 0.408 heavy oil residue lost. And 3.2667 plus 0.408. Yes, all right, the math works. However, in the meantime, we have a crisis elsewhere. So the entire train system has gridlocked again. So fortunately we got that set up, so we don't have to worry about remembering all of that math. But we do have to worry about running over here and figuring out what the heck happened. Alright, trains, what have you done this time? So you and all of you guys are presumably wanting to go in here. So this train won't go through because this whole thing is one giant block. So you're stuck. And you are stuck because presumably... Oh, you're probably stuck because of this guy? Let's see, if we put a block signal there and move you back, are you going to move forwards? No. Alright, fair enough. So this train is limestone, so it is trying to get in there. Okay, I see the problem. I see the problem. Or at least part of it is we have a train waiting here behind the train that's in the limestone. So what are you doing? You're also limestone. So we have two trains sitting in here. This one is also stuck, waiting at a signal. And you can't leave because you're stuck. Ah, trains. Okay. And you are... So basically what's happened is all the trains trying to get to the limestone have all jammed each other. Okay, how do we even fix this? So why can't you leave? It feels like you should be allowed to leave. So I think the problem does just sort of all go back to these guys, because if... Let's see, because if this were a clear, then it would be fine. So why are you just sitting there uselessly? So you are some sort of fluid-based train. Specifically, you are HMF water. Alright, sure. And because this is all one giant block, you are stuck. Alright. what if that's a path signal? And that's a path signal. And that's a path signal. Alright, so by setting those as path signals, this guy can go through. Now, I think I had some good reason to manually set those as block signals, though, which is concerning. Because normally they would be path signals. But now that that guy's through, this guy can come through. And that should disentangle this whole thing. Temporarily, at least, until another problem emerges. Alright. So you are going through... You're all going forwards. So now you can go forwards, and you can come out. Alright. Cool. Problem solved, I think. Until we remember why I made those block signals and not path signals, in which case we're doomed, but that's fine. That will be a problem for the future. Now it's very satisfying to see all of the trains disentangle. Honestly, seeing the train jams disappear is like one of the best parts of dealing with trains. Like, if you're too good at it, if you're too good at dealing with trains, you don't get to see this, which would be a tragedy. Alright, so now it looks like we're chilling. Alright, and then is all this working? Yeah, I think all this is working, as long as this guy can figure out how to get through at some point. Although he might be like last priority or something. Yeah, I don't know why this poor guy just is never allowed to go through. But he'll get there eventually. Yeah, actually this is just like an abysmal wait. I've been sitting here for ages. Alright, finally get permission to go. Cool, so if that guy can go, then that means that this whole thing is indeed working. And I think I might want to, like, add an additional roundabout. Like, if we just send these tracks down a layer, put another roundabout in down there, and then connect it all up to the same outputs, that would hopefully help a little bit. I don't know. Messing with the train stuff is going to be a job for the future. So let's head on over here. So back to what we were doing, which is fortunately pretty close. So we have the ratios all set up. And we're just going to have to remember that the numbers we have written down are not quite right. Because we're making some of the plastic with polymer resin instead of crude oil. But the upshot is, this is all the heavy oil residue processing that we need to do here. We've saved a good solid amount there. So, next up is, I guess, we need to collect all the water. So how much water do we need? We need a bunch of water for the fuel. We need a bunch of water for the ores. So that's gonna be a lot of water, and that's, let's see, the closest lake is this one here, which is quite close and reasonably spacious. So let's drop down here and grab all the water we can out of this place. Alright, scroll wheel, please do what I want you to do for once. Thank Thank you. There we go. And then we're going to have to do more water tower shenanigans in order to get all this up there. Also, have I even used this? I must have, right? Yes, I did. Let's dismantle you so that I don't have to waste my time checking there again. And now we get the water extractors. Which there's going to be a good couple of them, because we need 3,492 fuel. Actually, it's going to be 600 less than that, but that's still like 2,900 fuel almost. Which means 2,900 water. And that is a lot. It's so much that we might have problems getting it all from this puddle. Although we can obviously overclock if that does become an issue. I don't think it will. And we can still fit a ton of water extractors in here. I'm not being the most efficient in the world, but even then it should be fine. Alright, so now we have power over here. And we place another row of water extractors. This is not going to be a full row. Let's see, if we mine this coal out, we should be able to fit an extractor in. Alright, any second now. Any second now. How is there so much coal in this one stupid rock? There we go. 93 coal, apparently. Alright, let's just get some of these extractors powered up. Because that will bring power into the area as well. Which will help me fly. There we go. We apparently squeeze another one in there, but not there. And then we can get those. Alright, how much is this already? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 times 120 is 1920. So if we were to overclock all of these, then we would have enough plenty. But let's just place more extractors in so that we don't have to overclock. So these all go in like that. And okay, power line, you come over here and power on some of these. And then we're going to have to spend more time mining some Cateria in order to get this out of the way to put another extractor here, which I think will fit. Alright, that one is considerably less annoying. Only 30. Alright. The fact that this whole thing is just barely out of power range constantly is making it quite annoying. So now we have power over this side as well. So we get those in. And then we should be able to squeeze one last row in here. Alright, and that's apparently all we can manage. Okay. Oh, Mercer Sphere. There's a Mercer Sphere over here, and we do actually need Mercer Spheres. So let's swap to Jetpack. Because currently we have exactly 0 in our inventory. And I'm building a factory, which we're going to want to connect up to dimensional storage. So let's grab you. And then apparently there's another one over this way. So yeah, it'd just be nice to grab 2 or 3 of these, so that hopefully you don't have to worry about it for a while. And we are, of course, pretty rapidly reaching the point where, like, there aren't that many things left that even need Mercer Spheres. So hopefully we'll be pretty close to the point where we don't need any more at all. Okay, then there's another one over this way, which I guess we will grab since it's close. Ah yes, getting distracted by side quests, the Satisfactory classic. Where are you? Ooh, what's this? Fun. Alright, where is this Mercer Sphere? It's gonna be like in a cave somewhere beneath me. Alright, that's fine. We're just gonna ignore it then. Mercer Spheres that are lying around in the open are one thing. Mercer Spheres where you have to find the tiny cave entrance that could be anywhere is a whole other thing. Now, where were we? We were placing a whole bunch of stuff in one of these ponds. It was this one over here. So let's get back to that. We have a lot of pipes to connect up. Where was it? There it is. Alright, so now we have to get all of these piped up. And that is going to involve Hoverpack. Alright, so we need to connect these up in batches of 5. So let's get those 3 and those 2. Alright, so that is batch number 1. So connect them up into batches of 5 because they're 120 and the pipes can handle 600. So we get those 2 and those 2. And they connect up. And then that whole thing connects up to that one. So that is another batch of 5. Then we have those 2, which are kind of stranded a little bit. We can combine them up with those 2 and that one around the edge. So that goes around there. Another batch of 5. And then we have to grab that one and connect it in with those. And this is gonna be a bit of a weird one. So then those 2 connect up. And gonna have to work around Mr. Bean real quick. There we go. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is, that's not going to be a convenient way of doing it. We want to connect those 2 right across. And then get number 3 in. And then these 2 connect up. And then that goes across. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have these last ones, which are just sort of in a row along. So that's 2. That's 2. And then we connect them up. So that is 4. And actually this will be better if we connect these two up first, and then they go into there. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have 3 remaining. Oh. Every so often, my desktop gives me Reddit alerts, which I have never once cared about. And they will pop up in my screen, and I will somehow accidentally click them. And it just throws me off a little bit. Alright, so that is all of those connected up. Now, how many pipes even is this? We are going to bring them over to here. So, we have that. And we have that. And we have that. Let's see, these ones are connected, so we go there. And we have to get this out somehow, which is going to be a bit of a nightmare. I guess, can we sneak it under this one? No, we're just going to drop it into the ocean. Please. Oh my god. It's so awful getting stuck in the water like that. Alright, so this has to get up to there and then out like that. Alright, so that's those. And we got those ones already. So then we have these, which can come out around this side. And then that also connects up to those two. Then we have these ones, which we can bring out and around. And then there's this, yeah, then there's just this little mini one, which can come out here and around this way. Alright, so this is all the pipes that we got. And we're going to have to just bring them up this hill, I guess. So pipes can go very steep, but apparently they can't snap to the edge of the cliff, which is what that problem was. Oh, there's a summer sloop right over there. I'll grab that. I do love me some summer sloops. Alright, so now we have that. And we just have to bring this one all the way around. Like that, and up like that. And like that. Alright, let's grab this summer sloop. And then do a quick tally of what we have. And apparently this Mercer sphere is literally right here. Where are you? Are you... Yes, you are just in here. Let's grab that. Up to 3 Mercer spheres. And a good solid number of summer sloops as well. Alright, so how many pipes is this? This is 600, 1200, 1800, 2400, 3200, 3800, 4000-ish. This might be enough. But let's grab a bit of extra from this pond up here just to be sure. Because I don't know, I didn't actually write down how much I needed for the ore refineries. But it's probably not going to be more than another pipe, hopefully. Alright, how do we get this placed in that works? Apparently there. It's very particular. Alright, so now we're going to have to deal with powering all of these machines up once we get these connected. How many summer sloops are in the game? I don't know. It's a decently high number, but, you know, there could always be more. Yeah, I don't actually know that number off the top of my head. You could probably look it up. Probably not that hard to find. Alright. Yep. Summer sloops are very powerful, and you can basically always find a use for them. Alright, so there we go. So we have the pipelines now. All we need to do is power up all of these extractors and get them all going. Alright, so that's those. Then need to upgrade some of these and start powering on machines. So hopefully we can get that whole row. No, that one's too far away. So we can do that and then get another power line there and start upgrading these. Alright, making good progress. So now we go over here, and then we just have to loop around back to these guys in the back, and then grab these. Almost there. So we get all these in. And now it's just this patch in the middle. So we can upgrade all of these. And that will be a good couple thousand water extracted. And now we just have to get all of this up, which is going to be a process and a half. So I suppose we can use the other side of this. So we can send them up this same wall, and there should be enough space there for all of these. Alright, so that comes out to here. And then we're going to have to bring that wall down a bit. And then there have to be two walls side by side for the amount of pipes that we have. Alright, now we have to start putting all these pipes on the walls. So this one will go over there. Wait, actually, before we even do that, we have to set up the head lift system so we get that in. And I think the way we're going to do it is we're going to pump one of them up and then use that as head lift for the others. So we have a pipeline which goes along here. Just something like that ought to be good enough. And now, this one is going to go up the wall. And it's going to have a valve here, which is set to 0. So if we can get water in that pipe, then it will cause everything connected to this pipe to have head lift up to wherever that head lift is. So we bring this up and put it in. And we're just going to connect all of these pipes up into that. So you can go up here like that. And, oh, I just downgraded that pipe. That's not good. Alright, then that goes into there. And we just keep going. So this is going to need to be dismantled and rebuilt in order to line up properly. So it goes up like that. And then in. And then there is, I believe, just this one left. On this side at least. Get that. This all goes in. And into there. Alright. Finally, we have this one, which I guess we will connect up to over here. Like that. Alright, now we just have to get all these pipes onto this wall, which I hope there will be enough space for. So you can go up there. You can go up there. And then we just keep going along. There might not be enough space on this extra wide wall. That's unfortunate. But it is what it is. We're just going to have to put in another one. So this wall gets to be 3 wide. And then this last one goes over here. And up. Alright, so this is a bit weird, but it should work. Assuming I can get the head lift right. Alright, so that is going to go up. And now we just get to bring all these pipes up. And we can take a bit more space. Because we are using 3 wide walls. So let's use the majority of that. Like so. Alright, now we can just go straight up. And from here I think we go onto a horizontal section for a little bit to get over there. So that needs to not exist. We need this to all line up and go to where the factory is. We also need power in order to be able to hover pack up. So let's grab you and stick a power line up there. So that is enough for that. Now we can bring foundation across, and then all the pipes will go up. Alright, so then we grab that wall. We're in a radiation zone, but it's light radiation, and we're not going to be staying long, so it should be fine. Just need to drag this wall up a little bit. Alright, that should be good enough to at least get started. Now we bring all these pipes. So this one over here. So these all just have to get over the corner first before anything else. And I don't want that to spread out even more. The current spacing is good. There we go. Now these go across. As far as they will go. Approximately. And we just keep bringing these along. This is a lot of water pipes to be transporting a reasonably long ways, but that's what you gotta do sometimes. Maybe I could have I could have built this factory at or near ground level and not had to do quite so much, but we're too far in at this point, and it's convenient in other ways besides. Once this is all set up, then we will have a lot easier access to the factory. It's just getting the water over there is the issue. And also I really need to unlock hazmat suits at some point. Like, it should be a priority to just stop by and do that, so that I don't have to constantly be worrying about all this. Alright, so now these can go up. And as far as up as they can go will be nice. So there. And yeah, so if we can't spend too much longer in here, we're going to need to hurry, but we should be able to... Okay, the hog walked far enough away that we're safe, and now we can hover pack up into the air and get all of these going up. So there we go. Hopefully we don't have any... We should have a huge production of copper sheets, I think. We had gone through this for the rocket fuel factory, and we'd upgraded that a lot until it worked fine. Alright. We are honestly almost there. We just need to get them up to not even this level, like the level below it. So yeah, let's actually figure that out. So we go down to there. We get the floor. And this fits a refinery pretty well, I believe. Yeah, so the refinery is in with a little bit of space for logistics floors. So this is where the water needs to get to. And then we just have to figure out how to get it across onto that. So I guess we can set up a bit of a landing zone over here for them. Just going to be a bit off-center of where they are now, but it Should be fine. Alright, so these are going to have to zigzag up here. Because, yeah, this wall that we have here is being used by the crude oil pipes as well, so we can't just dismantle it or anything. So these all go up onto the wall. Okay, this is going to have to be maneuvered a little bit so that they don't clip. So this has to come down to there and then across. Alright, so this is this. And do you want to give it a bit more height? Nah, this is fine. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need a industrial fluid buffer here, which we will just put in like that, I guess. And then this pipe here can connect in and into the buffer and then down into that. Alright, so now we just need to not die from falling. Alright, we didn't. Success. And we need to get one of these pumped up all the way to there. So, that's going to be this one. So we get the pump, and we power it on. And that should give head lift for this whole system up through this area. And it should get it up onto this. But I don't know how far up it's going to go. And it's not telling me because it's confused. It's got all of these to fill as well, so it'll take a little bit to fill up. Alright, so this is receiving water. And it should mostly fill up, at least get pretty high up onto it. Alright, so we're not showing where the current limit is, so we're just gonna be conservative. The power constraints are not a problem. The problem would be if we were too incredibly wasteful, but like one extra isn't gonna break anything. Alright, so we have that. And now the whole thing can go up to here. Yeah, just up to here. So now we put you into there and power you up. So there you go, given head lift. And yeah, so you're the only one which currently has the head lift, it looks like. Which is fine, that is expected. Alright, and then we're going to need another one of these going up. And hopefully that's low enough to still work. I don't know exactly where it's going. Let's grab a power pole for it. And it is pumping. Cool. So now we go up to there. And we just need to find a power pole to attach it to, like that one. And now that is pumping. And we should be getting into the fluid buffer. Alright, so now that we're getting into the fluid buffer, the water is going to go up there and then down. It's going to fill this pipe, because this pipe is connected to the fluid buffer. And it's going to fill this whole thing, which is going to convince the system that we have head lift in every pipe connected to that one, which is all of them. And then they should all start pumping up once it figures that out, obviously, which will take some time. So there we go. Now this pipe is filling up. And we should see progress soon, I think. Although I might have to... Yeah, I think what I have to do is just flicker the valve. So, if I take this valve, and you get to actually output some fluid for a little bit, and then I cut it back off again, then hopefully that will get all these working. I do see a fair amount of green in there. So the thing is, they might not have the head lift get up to here in the first place, which could be what's happening. That could be what's happening here. No, it looks like this is happening. Okay, and this... I don't know how that happened, but these two are not connected up properly. So you have to do that. And now all of these pipes are going up. And mission accomplished. So now we just have to deal with the fact that this pipe is in a slightly awkward position, but it's fine. We can manage with that. Alright, so water is all brought up. Except maybe for that pipe there, which I forgot about. Whoops. If we need it, we can go and grab it. But hopefully we just won't need it. Alright, so now we have all the water in the world. We don't need to use it immediately, right? No, we do. We do, because we need blenders to put the heavy oil residue through. So we need to put our heavy oil residue and water through some blenders and get a whole bunch of fuel. So let's get some space for that. And production, blender, and just have it lined up. Alright, so diluted fuel is 50 heavy oil residue and 100 water. So we are just going to do this like we've done it before, which is we have these in rows of 6. And we need 2892 fuel because the numbers are wrong. The numbers that I've written down aren't right. So if we need 2892 fuel, we need 30 of these approximately. So it's going to be approximately 5 rows of 6. Which is going to take forever to build. But that's why we have multiple streams ahead of us. Alright, so we have 4, 5, and 6. So this is fuel row number 1. And we can actually do... Yeah, let's actually do rows of 12. Because then the heavy oil residue can all be in just one pipe that's sent across, which will be pretty convenient. We're going to need a ton of space for that, but we have a ton of space marked out for the refineries anyway, so it's fine. So that is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I set the recipe on this? Yes. That's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, so this is a row of 12 blenders, which means this is going to take 2 water pipes. Probably just one from either side. And so let's get the pipes in for this. So we have the near pipe, which is there, and will be probably the heavy oil residue. Or no, this could be the water, because I guess head lift is technically a marginal concern. So this can be the water pipe, and it is going to go across. No, that last one didn't line up correctly. Gotta place it again. There we go. Water pipe in, and now we get the distant pipe, which is going to be elevated and will contain the heavy oil residue. So we have this going along. And I could technically save a very marginal amount of time by blueprinting this, but that's not really something that I'm worried about. Alright, so then we have to put junctions onto both of these. And this is a row of 12, and we need 2,800. So we need like 2.5 of these rows. So it's really not that big of a step. Fortunately, the blenders are so fast. Alright, now that those are all in, we can connect the pipes up. So these all go in. And just placing pipes, listening to the fun soundtrack. And right as I say that, the song either ends or gets so quiet I can't hear it, of course. Alright, so once all these pipes are in, then we will power the machines up and finally connect the pipes to the inputs, which is going to be a bit of a process, but not a huge one. Alright, so those are all connected. Now we get power pole Mark III, which we can connect up to a couple of those machines, but first we need to bring it up a layer. So you need to be a Mark III power pole in order to have enough connections. Alright, and now we can snap all these together. Alright, and then get another one, just for distance sake. These rows of blenders are quite long. Alright, we're just barely able to get the entire row in those 2 power poles. Alright, now we just need to connect up 1 pipe of heavy oil residue and 2 pipes of water. Alright, so water pipe number 1 is going to have to go over that real quick. And then go in there. Water pipe number 2 is going to have to also get over that annoying cross pipe that I placed without thinking. It's not enough of a problem to fix, but we are going to have to bring this pipe all the way across to the other side. There we go. Alright, now we are over here at exactly the opposite side, and we can connect that in. And now we have 1200 water flowing into this system, which I believe will be enough. I don't think we'll run into pipe speed limitations, unless, of course, there is some issue with sloshing or whatever. Hopefully there isn't. So then we need to grab a pipe of heavy oil residue, which, let's see, these rows are more than a pipe, right? Because these are 20 long and 40, so this is going to be 800. Okay, so that actually does make things easy, because we have 3 rows, each of 200 spare, so we can grab 1 row from each, and then an extra row from the remaining. Alright, so now we just have to grab that. You come down here. And go in there. Alright, so now that is going, I am going to want to have a temporary sink on the polymer resin. So we're going to go over here, get an awesome sink and a conveyor splitter, which will be a smart splitter, and it will be center any left overflow. So now when we power that on, we're going to be using a whole bunch of polymer resin because we need these machines to stay cleared. Alright, so that will produce our first little bit of fuel. And let's see, it's 4:30 now. So I guess we should be able to get hopefully another row in. It's going to be a bit dicey on the timing, but we'll do our best. Alright, actually before we do that, we need to get the output pipe in. So this goes across. And we're going to have to pull 2 pipes out of this, obviously, in order to use it, because it's 1200. Did that do something funky? Yeah, that did something funky. Alright, so this, instead of going up a couple notches, we want this to stay flat on the ground. So across it goes. And then we connect all of these up with junctions. And that will be good to go. So the fluid manifolding is going to take a long time, but hopefully just by getting it started early, it can be done by the time the factory actually properly starts up and needs it. So we put all of these pipes in, and we're going to get a whole bunch of fuel. Like that, and like that. Alright, so that is the first setup good. And even the last one in the row here is completely satisfied with 50 of each. Now the first one over there, those are ones that have already filled up and filled any buffers that they have, which these ones are about to do any second. So now we get to grab some more space. How wide is this? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish wide, but we don't really need that much extra space. Let's give it 6, just in case. Never hurt to have more extra space than you need. so that can all go in. And we are getting close enough to the ground level that we are going to need to start blowing up some trees. And that should be fine. We might have this go partially above the... We might have this like zigzag back up again. Once we get all this stuff on belts, we can just send those belts up and not have to worry about fluid stuff and be above the train level. I don't know. Maybe. Just thinking out loud. Don't know if I'm actually going to do that. Alright. So where do you have to get it to blow up these trees? Just anywhere on the trunk, or does it have to be like by the roots? Alright, that time we got it and it was by the roots. So let's get it that time and it was midway up the trunk. So yeah, just anywhere on the trunk works. Alright, so now we get another row of 12 blenders. And I think we're going to have this rotated like this so that we can have all of the output in the same region. And then take a little bit more space because we have plenty. And now we just start placing these in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Alright, so those are all in. I remembered to copy a version with the recipe, so I don't even need to do that. Alright, now we get some more pipelines in. So this goes across. And just keeps going. It's got a lot of distance to cover. There we go. Now we can grab this one and have it be elevated by 1. And across it goes as well. So we just drag this along. And just one more section after this one, I think. Alright, and it's in. Now we put the junctions in preparation for connecting all the stuff up. Wait, that doesn't need to have 2 junctions on it. That has to have a junction on it. So we just run along like this until they're all connected up. And then water goes in the lower pipe, heavy oil residue goes in the higher pipe. Alright, there we go. Just a couple more junctions. And now the pipelines. There we go. All these go in. And then we can just attach the pipes up and have this running. So there we go. Just a couple more. There really are a lot of them. Once you get into it, it just sort of keeps going for a little bit. Alright, so now we need to attach in power and heavy oil residue and water. So, as far as power goes, let's get a Mark III power pole there and have it reach back this way. So all that goes in. And then we have to get another one in. And then we have to connect these up to something. Alright, we got all those. So now we get all these. And we just have to bring this across to there. And they're all connected up. Alright, cool. Now it's just the heavy oil residue and the water. Alright, so we fly back over here. And heavy oil residue is just up this way. And we just pop a pipeline floor hole in anywhere, really. And down it comes. So it goes down like that, and in. Cool, now the water. So we have to grab 2 pipes of this. Which is gonna be a lot of the water pipes we have available at the moment. We might have to go down and grab that extra one that we forgot. Might even need to run another one entirely. Although the next one won't require a full one. So yeah, but we will need, because we're gonna need to also do the water for what's it called? The ore refinery. We're going to need more water than what this currently is. Alright, so then for now though, we have enough for what we're doing. So we can send that in. And then, where's the other one? This one can go over this way and just skip over that and then come along. And then just go all the way around. All the way around to the other side where it can connect up. So we have this. And it goes around this way. We're probably gonna have to deal with that tree. Then along here and in. Alright, so that is water connected up to both sides, and heavy oil residue connected up as well. And it's obviously taking a little bit, but it's showing up now in good solid numbers, especially all the way down here, considering this is the very end of the line. Alright, so now we can just put in the pipeline here and run this across like that, and then connect it all up. And we're probably going to, yeah, let's finish off the fuel today. It's only 4:38. Keep thinking, it's in. Do we have time to finish this? And I think we do. Like, this whole row was like, what, 10, 15 minutes? And the next row isn't even a full row, it's going to be like half a row. So hopefully that will save some time as well. It'd be nice to have an entire thing done at the end of the stream so that we don't have to figure out what we're in the middle of. We can just move on to the next step. Alright, so those are all connected up. And one more row. So we have 1,200 there for 2,400 fuel. We need 3492.65 minus 600 is, we need 2892. So we need 492, which is 5 machines. So let's get all of this in. Have plenty of space. And grab the blenders. Alright, we want to leave a good couple tiles for that. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and just a little more space on this floor. 5. Alright, so this last one needs to be set to 92.65. 92.65. So that should be exactly the right number. And now we put the pipes in. So this runs along this way. And to there. Then this one goes up and comes across. Like that, and like that. Alright, so now we just have to get these last couple machines hooked up, get the pipes in, and call it a day. Alright, so that goes in, that goes in. All of these are going to get connected up. And there we go. Alright, so we have that. Now we need the power lines, which we're only going to need one for this. So these all connect together. And then we go back to that one. Alright, so now we just need a water pipe and a heavy oil residue pipe. So the water pipe is this one, which is the last one we have spare at the moment. And we need to figure out how to get you out, because you're sort of caught in a bit of a bind. I guess you can sneak up there and then under there. Yeah, that works. Alright, now we can bring this over to here. And then into that. And then finally we get our heavy oil residue pipe, which is the last one that's going for fuel instead of petroleum coke. So it comes over this way, and somewhere around here should be a perfectly reasonable spot to drop down a floor. And then we just need some space for it to land. So it comes down there, stays high, and then goes in there. Alright. So now we just need to get the output pipe in, and that will be all the fuel done. So this pipe goes across, and like that. Now all the junctions go in, and it connects up, and we have 2892.65 fuel. Alright, now the last thing I want to do is just make a note here in my notes. Actually, can we use both of these at once? What? Why is public notes all blurry? What? Alright, weird, but fine. Numbers inaccurate. 600 polymer resin replaces 600 fuel for rubber. Alright. So yeah, I don't know exactly what the number changes have to be in order to fix all of them simultaneously. But at least we have that note, so I'll know to look out for it. Alright, so this is all the way up to fuel production done. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun. Make sure to follow if you haven't already. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern Time, alternating between Satisfactory and Factorio. So yeah, that's about that. Thanks for hanging out. I'll be doing Factorio tomorrow and Satisfactory again on Friday. So make sure to stop by then if you're interested in either of those. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.